It's just mind-blowing. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the moment we've all been waiting for. We are going to talk about this new product, the Nux B6 Pro. Not just B6, it's Pro now. Yes, we're getting playing with the big boys now. Oh yeah. Now some people tell me that Nux is actually stands for Nux, like as in new experience. Nux Pro, Nux B6 Pro. I'll just call it Nux. It's easier. Okay, so I'll try to be as brief as possible. Unfortunately, brevity is not my strong point, but I'll try to be as brief as possible. I'll tell you about my first impressions about this thing from the point of view, not as just some hobbyist, from the point of view as a professional saxophonist. I've been on stage my whole life. I'm a full-time professional saxophonist. So this is from the point of view as a professional who normally, what happens with professionals, we don't want gimmicks, we don't want just messing around. We want things that work, we want heavy duty stuff, we want stuff that works. You can drop it on the floor and it still works. I haven't dropped this on the floor and I don't really want to because I don't want to break it. It's too nice this is. But anyway, I'll cut the crap. Let me just tell you my first impressions, what I think about this thing, having used it now a couple of times already on the stage. So anyway, I'll tell you what it comes with. This is a box. This is a box, right? Comes with a pretty full instruction manual, nice pretty pictures, all full color and everything, written properly. It seems like it's written properly. It comes with a charger for the machine, charger or whatever, the wall wart, as you call them, wall warts. This thing that seems to come with everything now, it's actually really clever because this is a USB charging cable with a little adapter on it, big or small. So that's great because we're right in the middle of the technology now where it's changing from big to small. You know, these little wall adapters for your phone, they typically come like this, but the latest ones come like this. So this solves it, doesn't it? You can use both. And of course, this to go on the microphone itself in case of wind. It probably needs it when it's windy because most of these mics, I haven't actually tried it in wind. I have played it outdoors. I didn't have any problem. Another thing it comes with is the Nux sticker. This is for, now when I was a kid, way back in the 1980s in England, it was the Pakistanis who always used stickers on their cars. And we could tell a Pakistani car because it had the stickers. I can say that because my mom was half Pakistani from East Pakistan, which later became Bangladesh. So the Pakistanis, they like their stickers on their cars. Then later I went to America and I found in Texas, all the Mexicans in there with their cars, they were the ones with the stickers on their cars. So that was when I was young as well. So I can say that because I'm half Spanish myself. So I'm glad that the Nux company are inclusive. They've got the stickers for the Pakistanis and for the Mexicans. Just kidding. Anyway, I'm not really into stickers, as you can tell. But anyway, let's get to the important bit. Here's the box. Now, I do own a Nux B6. So the first impression of mine was, look, this is obviously bigger and heavier, bigger box, right? The old one was about this big. If you have an old one, so you can compare, it's about this big, right? Same kind of thing. But the first thing I noticed, there's no, USB plug on the side, no charging thing. And I thought, that's strange. Let's open this. And, oh, look at that. Aha. So I already did my unboxing and it looks awesome. It really does look awesome. Let me just tell you first my first impressions, right? Here it is. Here's the deal itself. Obviously, it's not that tiny little thing like the previous B6 had. Now, unfortunately, I don't have my B6 here with me. I'm now in the United States and my B6 is in Spain. So I wish I had it with me to do a direct comparison and show you the differences. But I'm sure you've seen lots of videos on about the B6. If you don't have one already, it's a super, super popular microphone now. Loads of musicians I know use it. I bought one myself, and I actually use it back in Spain as my secondary microphone. Now I always take two with me on my bookings, primary and secondary. And the secondary one is for emergency, in case something happens on stage with the primary. And it did happen recently on stage. My primary stopped working, and I had to take out my new B6, Nux B6, and use it, right? Now, I haven't done an actual video of the Nux B6, but I have mentioned it in other videos. And one of the things I mentioned about it was the sound is impeccable. Everything about it is great. But what I didn't like about it is that it made a lot of noise on the key noise, like too much. Too much, so I didn't want to use it as my primary microphone because of that. So my biggest question was, does the same happen with the new B6 Pro? So I'm going to tell you that. If you watch till the end of the video, I'll tell you the answer. And I'll also tell you the answer about the things I like about this. And I'll also tell you about a couple of things I don't like about it that I think they could have done differently, and it would have been much better even. But let me tell you, if I can summarize all of this in one word, it would be innovation. Innovation. This is certainly super innovative. It's super technology, the very latest and greatest technology there is. Now, let me tell you again my first impressions, right? The first thing what happened when I pulled this out is that look at this. I mean, this isn't an audio plug. As you know, again, if you're familiar with the B6, this comes with an audio plug that sticks in there. It was a mini jack, right? And this is a USB plug. It's fully digital. That's incredible. I've never seen such a thing. And so this just plugs into there, right? Now, let me just say one little thing about this. It looks like you see the clips on the side, and you see the clips on the side in there, righty? It's supposed to go kind of click. That's the impression you get. Now, when I press it in as hard as I can, it doesn't actually go click. So I don't know whether it's just this one in particular, or whether that's just like a little design flaw or something. There's no kind of click, as far as I can tell. I mean, it sticks in hard, and it certainly works. But, you know, it would have been nice to have a little click that you know it's in. You know what happens when you stick the XLR plugs into the mixer board and it goes click, and then you know it's plugged in properly. So we don't get the nice little click. But anyway, that doesn't really matter when you're on stage because it works and it doesn't move. And you see this, of course, the thing that caught my attention as well is it has the same system of the previous Nux B6, the same system of clipping onto your saxophone. Now, this is something that I liked the most and the least about the previous Nux. The most because, I mean, it's the best. It's definitely the best and strongest way to clip a microphone onto your saxophone. I mean, that does not move, and it doesn't stick out either in front. It's awesome. This is my little baby soprano sax. And look how even the new design of this is so nice and round. It actually fits with the shape of your saxophone, and yet still without touching it. The same happens on the alto. This is my soprano again. So that's one of the incredible things. I mean, that's just awesome. But again, in the previous B6, that was a problem because it fits so perfectly and hard onto the saxophone that when you move the keys and everything, it would make a big sound on here, like noise interference from the keys. And that to me was too much. It was too much. So that was the big weakness about this microphone. Shall I tell you? Okay, I'll tell you. The new one does not have that problem. There is a little bit of a noise when you go like this in the speakers, but I think it's the same as the other microphones. I would very much love to do a mic shootout between a bunch of microphones, including this and the old B6, to see the differences. But it hasn't been a problem, so I think they fixed it. Now, I'm not sure. This is very, very similar as well to the previous one, just very slightly different looking than the previous one. But notice that this is rubber right there. That's completely rubber. So it may be because of that. Again, unfortunately, I don't have the old one to compare it to. Can't remember if the old one had that or not. But whatever they've done that's a little bit different, it doesn't have as much problem with the key noise. So that's passed the test. Key noise test has passed, and that's awesome. So let me tell you what else I found about this. Now, one of the first impressions I got was that you see this, right? I thought, hey, the old one had a thing on the side that you can plug it in and charge it in the box, and the pieces went into the box and it charged, and it even has these charging capabilities on there. Can you see the charge connectors? And I thought, well, have they made a mistake? They made the charge connectors and yet the box, there's no connectors to charge. What's the deal with that? And then I found out, look at this. This goes on here, and it's even magnetic. Look at that. You just put it on there. I mean, what the?
Flowers, y'all. What the flowers?
Can you believe such a thing, man? This was incredible, incredible. Yeah, let me tell you the thing I like the most about this. I'm just going to tell you right now, I'll tell you the best part. Well, I won't tell you the worst part until later. Watch this. This is what I like the most about this. You know what? Let me show you something. Most of you saxophonists have a sax stand, right? It stands up like this with a grip like this, and the sax goes on it like this, right? Now, with some of my microphones, I can put them on a little bit at the side and everything, and then it can still go on the sax stand with the microphone on. This, one of the things I didn't like about this Nux B6 was that with this on, even if it's quite up on the side there, and it's not really, shouldn't really go on the side because then it's not facing the right way. This is designed to go right at the front like this, right? It's designed to go that. It needs to be on the front really, so this is facing the keys, right? You can't really, I mean, I suppose you could try and bend it in a weird way and everything, but I really don't like that idea. It seems like it's much more logical just to have it like that. So what happened was when I was playing with this on the stage, if I wanted to put my alto down and grab my soprano sax, I would have to take this off. I mean, obviously I have to take it off the switch, but what if I just wanted to put it down to rest for a minute, whatever? No good. Take a break, no good. Let me show you something. You take a break on the stage, right? Now, I put this, I have to take it off anyway. I put this there. Where do I put this? There. And it charges while it's on here. So that's awesome. It's really awesome. It actually charges that. And I'll tell you what, last time I performed with this on stage, I've used it a couple of times on stage in weddings. Here's a clip so you can see. So as you can see, I've used it already on stage. No problems, no connection problems. The specifications, by the way, are, some of them are better specifications than the previous Nux B6. For example, battery life is longer. It seems to be able to connect for further away. I didn't have any connection problems with this in a couple of performances I've done so far. And what I did is literally when I finish performing and I start packing my stuff away, I stick this on there, I start packing my stuff away, and by the time I finish packing everything away, this was already fully recharged. Imagine that. So I don't have to remember when I get home to recharge it, because now I'm using rechargeable microphones instead of battery microphones like I used to use. So that's awesome. The best thing about this, it's definitely what I like the most about this, is this. You just put it there. I mean, this would go like this. Most people will still have it bent. And you just put it there. Look at that. And it charges by itself. No problem. Okay, so that's as far as the transmitter's concerned, right? Let's talk about the receiver. Now, the great thing about the previous Nux B6 and a lot of the other microphones that I've been reviewing lately is the receiver is just tiny. I've showed you before how the receiver can just plug directly into your mixer. It's just a little tiny little thing, right? So why go backwards again? Okay, now I have to go back to having these big things. Well, what I didn't realize when I first took this out was that this, look at this. Beautiful, isn't it? And heavy, nice and strong. But you know what? This is actually a foot pedal. It's a foot pedal. Can you believe it? Like guitarists have foot pedals. All my life we watched my fellow musicians with guitars. They have all foot pedals and they can change their effects and volume and everything whenever they want. And I couldn't because I'm a saxophonist. Well, now saxophonists have their own foot pedal. I don't know. I mean, there must be on the market foot pedals, especially for saxophonists. But I've never seen one. This is the first time in my life I've seen a foot pedal designed specifically for a saxophonist. Obviously, you can see it's a foot pedal now that you look at it, now that you realize, because this is an actual foot pedal switch. This is designed to be switched with your foot, right? And then you've got here a send and return outputs on the side, which is typical of guitarists with their foot pedals. So you can have all kinds of different effects and everything. And so basically we can be like guitarists. But now I'm going to tell you one of the two things that I don't like about this. You know what it is? The first thing that a guitarist has with all his foot pedals and everything else is a volume. They have sometimes a dedicated volume pedal. They have a volume knob on their guitar and everything. Saxophones have always had problems in this sense. Me as a saxophonist on the stage, if somebody else is doing my sound on the stage and they're far away from me or whatever, and I'm like, I'm trying to get their attention, raise my volume. I wish I could just raise it myself. So when I first saw this, I thought, oh, look at this. Like a volume button, right? Because typically on these kind of receivers, this is a volume button. But unfortunately, no, on this it isn't. As I said, it's a foot switch. So this is when you go into the menu and you can change the menu options and everything by turning this, right? And it does have an option for changing the volume. So you can change the volume, but not in the middle of a performance. You can't just go like that. You have to go into the menu and look for the volume and change it. Now, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. So if anybody has any updates I'd like to correct me on, then please send a message down in the comments below and let me know, because this is very, very customizable. It is very customizable. And I mean, it's amazing. You can customize all kinds of things. I'll show you a little bit in a minute. And so maybe there's a way of customizing it so you can turn this into an actual volume knob. But at the moment, the only way that I can change the volume is going into the menus, and then once I find the right menu, then I can change the volume. And there's also the default for this is actually a boost, right? Which I suppose if you're playing in a big band and then it's time to play your solo, you can press the boost button and then you play louder than before, right? So basically it makes you loud and then quiet again, loud and then quiet. But rather than just loud and quiet, it would have been, I think, more helpful just to have an actual volume. Because typically when a saxophone plays a solo, he's going to start playing loud compared to before, blowing loud. I mean, anyway, that's just my thoughts. Okay, let's show you some more amazing things about this. You want to see something else amazing? You see this? As I mentioned before, it can charge on here, right? Well, another thing it can do, I mean, this is just mind-blowing, man. You unplug this, right? You unplug this, and you can plug a USB-C, again, charger in there and charge it through there, so that you can charge it through there, or you can just stick that on and play it. So you unplug the microphone, and where the microphone sticks in is where you can charge it. I mean, it's just mind-blowing. So, anyway, let me show you here. I've already shown you here's normal output as to be expected, right? XLR output. And then we've also got the jack output here, right? And as I've mentioned, it's also a send and return. Now this brings me to the second thing that I don't like about it. Before I show you all more fancy tricks you can do, let me show you the second thing that I don't like about this and I wish they would have done differently. So number one, Nux, if you're or Nux, if you're watching this video, this would have been awesome to have this as a volume by default. This is the volume by default. That's what needed to be changed. Maybe they can even change it with a firmware update. Maybe we don't even have to change the machine for that. And the other thing that would have been great is, now again, this is designed as a foot switch, right, to be used primarily on a guitar style foot pedal board. But how many saxophonists, really, professional saxophonists, use a foot pedal board? Very few, if any. So why have a dedicated send and return? Like if I want some echo and other special effects, I have to put the machines next to it with a dedicated send and return, right? But why not just have the effects built in? With all this fancy stuff, why couldn't we just have in here its own reverb, even a simple little reverb? You know, my little desk, my mixing desk is a little Behringer digital, beautiful Flow 8, and it has wonderful reverb in it. So, I mean, it's not a problem for me in that sense, in that case. But I would imagine that more important than having a send and receive would be, more simple and easier, would be to have its own dedicated effects inside. That would have been awesome. It would have been awesome. Awesome. Anyway, in my case, it doesn't really matter, nor even the volume, because this actually fits perfectly in my own little rack case, right next to my mixer, perfectly. And on my mixer, I have the volume, I have the effects and everything else. So I don't use this as a foot pedal, and most people, most saxophonists probably won't use it as a foot pedal, but as a normal receiver. I prefer to have the buttons right where I can press them. And you know, there are some buttons here to press with your fingers, not with your foot. So let's see what's on the back here, right? We talked about the outputs, right? Now here's the input, obviously, the thingy input, right? Now, when I first saw this, there's the USB there. There's a USB connector, USB-C, and there's one of these for electricity. So I thought, why have these two things separately? Why can't we just have the USB thing to plug in to power it? That would have been awesome. In fact, I wouldn't have had to have all this stuff on. Now, apparently it's not the 5 volts of the typical USB. It's a little bit more powerful. This, can't even see, even with my glasses on, how much this is. It's more than 5 volts. Maybe that's why. Maybe it needs more power than a USB. But also, the sad thing and happy thing at the same time, the sad thing is you can't plug a USB in here for power, but this USB is a USB out. It's for the sound out. So you actually have a digital USB out here. You can plug that conceivably straight into your computer to record. Isn't that awesome? That's awesome. Record digitally without a digital interface. So that's one of these awesome things. Now here you have a ground lift button. Now this is typically for the electricity. Now this doesn't even have a ground pin on here. So to me that's a little bit strange. Why have a ground lift button here if there's no ground to lift on the connector? So the only thing I can think of is it probably has something to do with this. Maybe it changes the way the sound comes out of here or something. That's a mystery to me. If anybody has any know-how about that, any knowledge, then please let me know in the description, right? So the big great thing is, watch this. I plugged it in, right, and I switched it on. So this is what I did, and it came on. It was awesome. It came on. Ready? There it is. It comes on. Now, if you notice, oh, it's not plugged in. doesn't say anything about charging or anything, but apparently it works without being plugged in. So that's great. It can be plugged in or not plugged in. On my rack, I have it plugged in. So if you're going to have it there, it's not so portable. So to me, it didn't even need to be work without this. But you know, the benefit of this is sometimes on stage, somebody's kicked the wire that plugs into the wall. Something happens with electricity, and there's a sudden blackout for a few seconds, and then I have to reprogram everything again on the stage. Well, I don't, because it still works. Hey, that's great. Now see this, it says scanning. Right, I'll turn on the transmitter. Few seconds and it'll come on, hopefully. Righty, there. And then it says, in a minute it'll say it's connected. Look at that. Is that awesome or what? Now you can't see any, I haven't plugged the mic in, so I'll put the mic on here. Really, I should have put it on first. Now watch when I talk. Is that awesome or what? Is that just incredible? I mean, man, if you want to impress the women, then you get one of these, man. This is just incredible. So you can see that's for it shows you the battery, it shows you the receiver, the transmission, the receiver and the volume, whatever. It's just awesome. That's really incredible. I'm going to leave that on for a bit because it's awesome. Now, I'm not going to show you every function there is, but this is super, super, super functional. It does all kinds of things. Now, let me show you what the first thing is that I really like about this. Now, in the previous Nux B6, there was a little button here. Well, actually, it was this button. And you pressed it, and there was a little light here that changed from red, green, and, you know if you've got one or if you've seen one. And what it means is there's a different equalization for soprano, alto, and tenor. I never really liked that because, firstly, I didn't really hear much difference between one and the other. And secondly, really, if there's any kind of equalization necessary, it would be to attenuate the lowest notes on the saxophone. And I thought, well, why can't it just have a flat equalization like my other microphones do, and then I can change the equalization on my mixer? Well, let me show you. This has a dedicated equalization button. Watch this, how cool. Press that, soprano, alto, and tenor. The color system before, it was easy to forget what color was for what. With this, you can just look at it and you know what saxophone you're playing. Is that awesome or what? Now, that's awesome, but again, it's a fancy gimmick to impress the women with all the fancy stuff on the stage, right? But what I really would have liked is just a flat equalization. Well, look at this. Normal. Oh, wait a minute. It goes no. Okay, there is a flat equalization. It's in the menu. Trust me, I've seen it. Right now, the normal isn't actually flat either. Can you see? But I've tried the normal. I've tried a little bit on stage. I haven't had time to test this inside the studio, but I have had time to test it on stage where I really needed it to work. It's worked wonderful. It sounded awesome. If anything, what I found with these settings, with the normal and the 3 settings there, to me it had a little bit too much treble. But again, I've since seen that in the thingy, you can go and you can actually switch that off and have a completely flat equalization. So that's awesome. It's for all tastes. You got all tastes. And the sound, awesome. Nowadays, most of these microphones, they're advanced enough to catch the sound as it's supposed to be. So you catch the natural sound of the microphone as it's supposed to be, and then whatever else you want to do to it, you can do with your effects, reverb, and whatever else. So the important thing is for your saxophone itself to sound good. If your saxophone sounds good, then it'll sound good with this. So the sound passed as well. Let me just tell you, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to use this now as my primary microphone for the next 5 or 6 months. It'll be my primary microphone on stage. Partially because it fits so perfectly in my little case with next to my mixer, but also because it's just awesome. This is awesome. Again, this is awesome. You stick that on there and it thing. You see, when I've stuck it on there, notice that's turned red, and you can't really see it, but you might not be able to see it. It says it's charging. It says it under there. It's charging, right? And then it switches off to save battery while it's charging, because I haven't plugged it in, right? If this is plugged into electricity, it says it's charging all the time. When that's charged, it turns green, and it's charged, right? Notice that's switched off. See, automatically to save it. I just press that again, and it should turn back on. See? So what else can I say? Oh, one thing. This is really important. Where's the button to change the channels? Does it have different channels? Remember the old one, I don't think had different channels, and that was a handicap compared to other ones. Where's the channel buttons? Well, guess what? It does have a load of different channels. I actually don't know how many or how, but when you do, what happens when it says scanning, see it says scanning, once you switch this on, what it does is automatically it checks which is the best channel to connect on, and it connects on the best channel and then connects to this automatically. Imagine having a microphone that you don't have to, it has loads of channels and you don't have to actually press the button to change the channels. As you can see here, it's working, see, as I speak. Awesome. That is awesome. As far as I know, it's the only one on the market that I've seen, maybe the first one, that it does that. It actually scans the channels and picks a channel for you. Now, I don't know if there's any, like a set number of channels, or whether it just scans a whole frequency and picks one. I'm not sure. Again, correct me in the comments below. But that's awesome. That is super technology. Super technology that, again, stops you from messing around on the stage. It makes life easier, simpler, happier, and supposedly with no interference. No interference. In supposing somebody turns their instrument on and there's some kind of interference, all you'd have to do is switch it off, switch it on again, or disconnect it, connect it again, and it would again scan the whole frequency. It's in the 2.4 gigahertz frequency, similar to Bluetooth. It would scan it and find the right one again, that it's all clear. You imagine that. Any kind of frequency problem, switch on and off, and it'll be fixed. I mean, it's awesome. That is really awesome technology. What else can I say? Let me just quickly show you this. It does come with a tuner as well. Not that you'd really have much chance on the stage of watching the tuner as you're performing. It's strange though. Now, again, you see this, bypass mode. Why would it need a bypass mode for a tuner? So, does it actually change the output? Is it like an auto-tune thing? If it was, that would be awesome. Now, I haven't investigated that yet. Again, feel free to let me know in the comments. And if I find out, I mean, as I find out new things about this, I'll put comments underneath the video with my latest thoughts and my latest discoveries about this thing. So that would be awesome if there's some kind of auto-tune thing. If it's just a tuner, then it's note when I press the button here. See how the mute light comes on? See, I've muted it now and unmuted it. And you can assign different functions to the button, by the way. It's very customizable. There's even a screensaver. I mean, what the?
Flower. What the flower?
Can you believe it? A screensaver? Anyway, you can customize it, all kinds of things. Again, there's the equalization, see? Favorite EQ, you can put your favorite EQ, and then the user's EQ. You can even do it yourself, look, put your own equalization in. So it's very, very customizable. See, tells you about different ways of connecting. You can even control the latency between the transmitter and receiver. So you lower, you know, there's more of a delay, but a stronger connection. You can control all kinds of little stuff with that. It's awesome. So anyway, I'm not gonna blabber on anymore. Look at this. It's awesome, man. Look, I'm talking and it's coming out of there. Whoa! It's awesome. Now, for the first time in years and years and years, for the next few months, this is going to be my primary microphone, not my secondary, not my emergency microphone, not for anything else. That's how impressed I am with this. I really wanted to try this out. and I've got one now, and I'm really impressed with it. Yes, they sent me this, but as usual, as you've heard, I've told you my honest opinion about it. There's things I like about it, things I don't like about it, but all in all, this is now at the moment, it's my favorite sax microphone. And I'm going to be using this as my primary microphone for the next few months. And as I discover more things, I'll put notes in the notes below this video, so you can and you put your comments too. I'll put my comments in the comments. Put your comments too, and let me know what you think and anything else I need to know about this. So again, the best thing about it, how easy it is to charge, how easy it is to connect. The channels just connect automatically without having to change channels. That's just mind-boggling. The customization is awesome. The fact that you can use this as if it's a guitar pedal, that's awesome. All kinds of things. The couple of things I don't like about it is it would have been great just to have this as a volume knob right from the beginning. As you can see, it's not. See, unless I go inside the menu and I change the volume. And then the other thing is, to me, that's not really necessary. It would have been better to put a chip inside with a reverb on it and have your own reverb built in. That would have been awesome. Wow, maybe an update that can do that. Maybe just with a firmware update, they can make this into a volume button by default. That would be awesome. Anyway, but as I said, it's awesome. Doesn't make as metal. Listen to that. Listen hard, man. Nice and strong. Anyway, I love it, and I'm going to be using it. Yes, indeed. Have a nice day.